Today we're going to attempt to finish some book series that I'm currently in the middle of. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Leané, I'm a fantasy author, and the links to all of my books will be in the description. So I love watching these videos on YouTube. I find them so satisfying to see what other people are reading, what series they're busy with, and also like watching them finish all of the book series. I'm currently not in the middle of too many book series, but I guess that kind of depends on what you would qualify as many. Like a lot of the people I watch are usually like in the middle of 15 or 16 book series. So I'm currently in the middle of 7 different book series. So that's the Powerless series, Outlander, Crescent City, Boys of Tommen, Magnolia Parks, Fae and Alchemy, and The Housemaid. What I like about these videos is I feel like it's really two birds, one stone, because on the one hand, I'm finishing a series which feels satisfying within itself, and on the other hand, I'm taking books off of my TBR. I'm hoping to finish at least 3 different series in this video. We've got 2 physical books and then 1 on my Kindle as well. First book is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, which is the 3rd book in the Magnolia Parks trilogy. I only have a few pages left of this one, so I feel like we're gonna finish this pretty quickly. On my Kindle, I have The Housemaid is Watching, which is the last book in the Housemaid series. I think I'm about 90% through this book as well, so I feel like it's also not going to take us that long to get through this. And then last but not least, we have Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which is the final book in the Powerless trilogy, which I've also really been enjoying since it got released. So I started listening to the audiobook of this one. I'm only on chapter 1 though, so we pretty much have the entire book to work through. So I just finished Magnolia Parks, and boy, what a roller coaster this book and this series has been. It's obviously hard to really talk about a book when you're on the 3rd book in a series without, giving away any spoilers, but I think because this is such a character-driven story, you spend so much time inside each character's mind that you really get to know them on a deep level, and I think that makes you feel like you know the characters very, very well. This book especially was quite long. It's 710 pages, which is why it took me a minute to get through it. Honestly, for the first 650 pages of the book, it did feel like it dragged on a little bit, in the sense that there was a lot of character development for our 2 main characters in the 2nd novel, and then something very dramatic happens kind of at the end of book 2, start of book 3, which definitely has a very big effect on our main character, but I think in a lot of ways it almost felt like it set her character development back a little bit. The way that she was acting, I think, made her very sort of unrelatable and at times a little bit hard to root for. And it was also centered around grief, which I think can oftentimes be quite a tricky topic to write about, because naturally it's going to have a big effect on the main character. And I was a little bit nervous, you know, getting towards the ending of this book and wondering how it's going to end and if I'm even going to like it or if I'm still going to be rooting for the characters. But I was actually pleasantly surprised in the last 50 pages. I feel like everything definitely came full circle, and all of the things that our main character had been struggling with, she actually did find a way to sort of work through them. So although it took us a very, very long time to get there, we did finally get there, and I think that made it feel like a satisfactory ending. And we also got a satisfactory ending for our main character and the love interest, or for BJ and Magnolia, which is obviously what you want when you get to the end of a series. So all in all, I very much enjoy this book, but I still think the first one my favorite. I don't actually know. Actually no, maybe the second one might be my favorite, if we're being honest. But I enjoyed the series a lot. I had a lot of fun with it, and I would honestly recommend this to anyone. It took me about a year to get through it, but I'm definitely going to be missing these characters and this world because I very much enjoy her writing, and there's so many good quotes in these books about love and about relationship and like the real raw side of it, instead of just kind of romanticizing everything. So I love her writing. All in all, I very much enjoyed reading this book. Next, we are moving on to the last book in the Housemaid series, which I am currently reading on Kindle Unlimited. Today is such a cloudy, cozy day, and I honestly feel like those are the best days for reading for me because I just want to stay in bed. If I have to be honest, I've been in a bit of a reading slump lately, so I'm actually really glad that I finished the Magnolia Parks book, because I think that's going to help me. Just feeling like I ticked off a book is going to help me get out of my slump a little bit. So I'm on chapter 65 of The Housemaid is Watching. I'm about 80% through the book, on page 310. I think I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna do some work because I have to get that done as well today. I can't just sit and read all morning, even though I want to, although I'm gonna be on break from work next week, so then hopefully we can get some more reading done, because I kind of need to catch up on my Goodreads reading goal as well. I've not been reading a lot this year. But I'm gonna do some work, we're gonna get back to this, and then I will chat to you about my thoughts on Housemaid is Watching. Good morning. Someone is mowing in the background and it's making a lot of noise. Anyways, I finished The Housemaid is Watching a couple of days ago. If I sound sick, it's because I'm kind of getting over a cold, so we're not completely better yet, but I am getting there. I still think the first book is my favorite one, just because it was the first Frida McFadden book that I read, and you kind of don't know what to expect yet, and I just think I like the plot of the first book the best. Whereas the last book in the series kind of focuses more on Millie's life when she's no longer a housemaid and she's married and she's had kids, and it's been quite a few years
down the road, but now obviously some things are happening while she's trying to just live a normal suburban life. What I do like about her books is the fact that you think that you kind of know what the plot twist is going to be, and then something else entirely happens and it just takes you by surprise. I don't know if anyone else is able to predict her books, but I have yet to be able to do so. So every time there is a plot twist, it does take me by surprise, and I really end up enjoying that. And her books are also like super fast paced and very easy to read, so you get through them quite quickly, which I think is very enjoyable. But all in all, I really enjoyed the series. I honestly think even if you're not super into thriller books, or if you want to get into thrillers, this is such a good series to do that, just because it's such an easy and fast-paced read, and because the stories are genuinely all enjoyable. I think having a book specifically centered around a housemaid is quite challenging, because I was kind of like, what is she going to do for the second and the third book? But every book follows like a completely different plotline and story, and that still makes it interesting and like easy to get invested in. Moving on, I started reading Fearless. As you saw, I did quite a bit of reading yesterday at a coffee shop, and then this morning I read for like an hour or two, and I'm currently on page 212, which is chapter 28, so we're a good chunk of the way through the book. I honestly have so many mixed feelings and thoughts, because I just think I'm at a point in my life where like YA romance really isn't doing it for me anymore. I think it's the same with my writing, which is why I'm not really writing fantasy or romantasy at the moment, because I'm more interested in other genres. So that's been making it a little bit challenging, because I'm not as excited about romantasy as I used to be, and every time I read a trope it just kind of feels like a little bit, not annoying, but like we've done this so many times before, so the tropes aren't nearly as exciting as they used to be. That being said, I didn't really know where the plot of the story was going, because the second book kind of ended on a really big cliffhanger, which I did think was like a really good cliffhanger, and I was excited to see where she was going to take the story from there. So I do appreciate the way that she has structured the plot of this book, because I think the journey that our main character is currently on, and the way that she is having to prove herself, is a really good way to do it, if that makes sense at all. I don't know, but I just like the direction that she decided to take the story in, and the journey essentially that the main character is having to go through. It has taken me like a minute to get into this book, but once again I do think that's more to do with the fact that I'm not currently really into romantasy at the minute, and less to do with the book itself. But now that I'm like 200 pages in, I'd say I'm relatively invested. I do kind of just want to finish the story though and move on to something a little bit different, but I'm not enjoying it. Like, I'm having a relatively good time. I think as I'm slowly getting more invested, I'm feeling a little bit of that like escapism, and I'm like feeling more drawn in to the story, because at the beginning I had a very hard time concentrating. So I would be reading a page and then I realized I'd zoned out for the entire page and I had absolutely no idea what had just happened, which is very unlike me when it comes to reading. I'm usually pretty good at immersing myself in a book. That was a bit of a struggle in the beginning, but I'm definitely more invested now than I was earlier. Anyways, I'm heading over to my boyfriend's house now. It's 10:20, so I'm gonna hang out there for a bit. I'm gonna read, I'm gonna watch some YouTube videos, I think, and just kind of relax since I'm on a bit of a break. And then I do have to stop at work for an hour or two, but that's only a little bit later this afternoon. And yeah, those are my plans so far.
I really hope the mic is working, because I do not want to do this again. Okay, so today is Thursday. We're currently at the start of chapter 40, which is just over 300 pages in the book. So we've passed the halfway mark, and so far I'm enjoying the trials that our main character kind of has to go through on her journey in this book. I do think I would have liked if they were a little bit longer and a little bit more challenging, I guess you could say, because it kind of feels like she's going through this thing and then an obstacle comes up and then she kind of just works her way through the obstacles. I think I would have liked the stakes to be a little bit higher, and you're kind of wondering, is she gonna make it? Is she not going to make it, that sort of thing. But at the same time, it's also still YA, so it can't be too lengthy or too stretched out because this book is already like 500 pages long. So I also don't really know like where's the perfect balance. I think I would have liked a little bit more from those scenes, but at the same time, you can't really make them too lengthy. The other thing that I'm a little bit unsure of at this point is the relationship in this book, because there's a bit of an elephant in the room, I guess you could say. Obviously, I don't want to spoil anything, but at the moment, our two main characters, or our main character and our love interest, can't really be together for specific reasons. And those reasons are they're pretty big reasons. And I'm not really seeing a possible solution for how they're going to get together at the end, which maybe they don't. Like, maybe that's how the book ends. I'm not insanely invested in their relationship, but once again, I really think this just has to do with the fact that I'm not really in a romantasy era at the minute. Like, I like their story, I like the two main characters, there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing that's like bothering me or really giving me any reason to dislike it. It's just the fact that it doesn't really have an emotional chokehold on me at the minute, which I would have loved. I would have loved an emotional chokehold, which I'm not getting. But at the same time, like, I do want them to end up together, and right now I just don't see how that's going to be possible. So I'm assuming maybe there's going to be some sort of plot twist at the end, which I'm there. Like, I'm there for it. Give me all of the plot twists. We had a really good plot twist at the end of book 2, which is kind of driving the plot for book 3 right now. And I enjoyed it. I honestly think it was a good choice. Those are currently my thoughts at the minute. Like, I'm enjoying it. It's a nice story. At the same time, I kind of just want to finish this book so that I can be done with the series and move on to something that is a little bit more serious and dramatic, maybe a little bit more literary fiction or historical fiction. I'm relatively invested in the story. There's nothing negative to say about it. I'm having a pretty good time. It is a lengthy book though, and I want to get to the good, heart-wrenching, high stakes, are they going to make it stuff, if that makes sense. So that's where we are right now. I'm gonna read for a bit and then I have to head off to work. I'm not really sure how much reading I'm gonna get done over the next few days because I have a wedding and I'm a bridesmaid at the wedding, so tomorrow I have to drive through. I can probably do some reading tomorrow morning, but then tomorrow afternoon I have to drive through for the rehearsal, and then I'm staying there for the night, and then Saturday morning I have to be up super early for hair and makeup, and then obviously it's the wedding for the entire Saturday, and then Sunday I'm coming back home. So we'll see how much reading we get done over the weekend, but I'd really love to finish this book before Monday, and we only have 200 pages to go, and I'm very motivated to finish the series. It's now a little bit later. What time is it? It's 31 minutes past 4. I just got back from work and I have about 2 hours before we have to be at a friend's house because we're kind of having like a board game night, which I think is going to be really fun. But I do want to get as much reading done as possible before the weekend because, like I said, this weekend is obviously going to be super busy. So I kind of have 2 hours for myself to read. I'm still kind of recovering from that cold and I'm not feeling super great at the minute. So I'm just going to stay right here in bed. The weather outside is super cloudy, so it's definitely giving cozy vibes. I think we'll put some cozy music on the TV and I'm just gonna cuddle up and read for at least the next hour. I think my boyfriend is supposed to come over, but I don't think he's gonna be here for probably like another hour or at least half an hour. We'll see how much reading I get done. I will keep you updated. So I just got to the end of chapter 42 and we just got a really big plot twist. And I have absolutely no idea how our main character is going to get out of this. Like, I don't have a solution for this. I don't know what's gonna happen. I am sad right now because this just got really, really good. And also I'm scared because this could end very, very badly. Hey guys, it is now Sunday afternoon. It is 20 minutes past 3. I think I got back home about an hour ago, and I've just been unpacking and just kind of trying to organize everything so that at least my room is clean and my things are unpacked. I am super tired. I think I went to bed around 1, which isn't really that late. I kind of tried to sleep in this morning, but I'm still really exhausted. However, I only have about 120 pages left of Fearless. I read a little bit on Friday morning, and then I read a little bit yesterday morning before the wedding, and then I also read a little bit this morning. But we only have the last 120 pages to go. I think the last time I filmed was when I was reading this very emotionally intensive scene, which was rough, and I got really concerned there for a minute about how our characters were gonna get through this and fix this. But I did have a theory about it, and my theory was right. Actually, yeah, my theory was right, which I was proud of. So now things are a little bit resolved. However, we still have 120 pages left, which means that a lot can happen, and I'm just kind of waiting for another plot twist. I do have some ideas for what could possibly happen, but I don't really know, so I think I'm gonna sit in my bed. I'm currently sitting under the softest blanket, so I put on some background music on my TV, and I'm just going to get all cozy and read a bit. I really want to finish it today, but yeah, I'm probably also going to take a nap because, like I said, I am absolutely exhausted and my eyes are feeling incredibly heavy at the minute. Let's see how far we get with our reading. I will keep you posted. It's now the next day. I really wanted to finish this book yesterday, but I just ended up being way too tired, so I kind of slept through most of the afternoon and I went to bed early last night. But when I woke up this morning, I picked up the book again, and I've basically been binge reading for the last couple of hours, and boy, there's so many things that has happened since we've last spoken, as I feel like there usually is within the last 150 pages of a fantasy or a fantasy book. Like, everything just kind of goes a little bit chaotic, which is what makes it fun. So I basically had 2 theories about what I thought the plot twist for the end of the book was going to be. One of them kind of made sense because I felt like there were little clues sprinkled throughout the book. So I felt pretty certain that this character was going to kind of betray the other characters, or that at least, how do I say this without spoiling anything? The characters' like true intentions and the secrets they've been holding from the other characters were going to be revealed, and I was right about that. But I also had another theory which was much more outlandish, I think, or at least for me it felt like a very outlandish theory, which also actually ended up being true. On one hand, it was a little weird, it was a little crazy, but it kind of did solve the problem for why our main characters couldn't be together, so that they could be together now. However, what I didn't see coming was another plot twist by one of the other characters whose plans were also revealed, and all of the secrets that they've been keeping. So it was a lot of information to take in for 100 pages. Like, there's so many things that happened. There were so many things that were being revealed, but it was super fun. Like, I was really, really invested, especially because I was also like binge reading it. I was really invested in the story, and I kind of forgot about the world around me, which I think is always like one of the best parts of reading a book, is when you can just kind of forget about reality and everything else that's going on around you, because the only thing that you can think about is what is currently happening in the book. So right now I'm at the epilogue, basically. I only have like 5 or 6 pages left, so I thought that we could read that together. But all in all, I really like how the plot played out for the 3rd book. I felt like there was a lot going on, but it made the story like fun and interesting, and I think there wasn't really another way to go to finish up this final installment in the trilogy. So I really enjoyed the plot, I enjoyed the characters as well, and the character development. Now that I'm almost through the 500 pages, I feel definitely a little bit more attached to the characters than I was in the beginning of the book, and I'm a little bit sad actually now that I'm gonna put this book down and not read about them again. But before I get ahead of myself, let's read the epilogue and then we will talk about the book as a whole. Okay, so we just got a really cute scene for the last chapter with our main characters. That was adorable. I loved it, and I really have enjoyed the journey of their relationship. I feel like both main characters are very strong characters, but they also have really good backstories and just a lot of depth to them, and it just makes them very easy to root for. You want to see them succeed, which is nice, and it's nice to see that they have a happy ending. The epilogue was quite interesting as well. It's kind of a little bit vague, and it's from a character's perspective that you wouldn't initially suspect, I think. But all in all, I'm very happy with how the series ended. I had a really good time reading this book and the series. I think it's a very good series to read if you are getting into fantasy or romantasy for the first time, or if you're kind of like new to the genre. It's a fun story to read without being too intense or complicated, but the characters are very enjoyable. The plot is interesting. We've had so many roller coasters in this last novel especially, but I think it was a really good way to round up the story and just finish off the series. So I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I'm a little bit sad that it is now over, but like I said, I think I'm going to take a break from reading romantasy for a little bit. I think I want to try and explore other genres more. So I'm not sure how much romantasy is for me at this exact point, but despite that, I still had a good time with this book. And I honestly feel like, especially when I compare it to the other two books as well, this series is for some reason just more enjoyable like when you binge it, even if you don't binge the whole series together, but you just binge each book separately. It just hits so much harder. So highly recommend you do that. But all in all, I had a good time with the series, and we have successfully managed to tick off 3 series that I was in the middle of, that I'm now finished with, which I'm very proud of. So we ticked off the Magnolia Park series, we ticked off the Housemaid series, and now we've also ticked off the Fearless trilogy. So hopefully this year I can continue to tick off some other series as well, and maybe even add some new ones. I don't really have any series at the moment that I want to get into. If you do have any recommendations, please let me know. For now, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next vlog.